we're starting to record now. This is the interview with Grandma. And we're going to just go ahead and be conversational. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, what is your complete name?
My name is Annie Vedas Hopper Roberts.
Okay. Remember to speak into the camera
Right.
because you're talking to your future generations.
Oh, I see. All right.
Say hi to them.
Hello.
Where were you born?
I was born on a farm 7 miles west of Ada
Mhm.
in a community called Union Hill and sometimes Bethel.
Bethel. Why were you there in that community?
My dad was a sharecropper, and he had a farm that he made a living on, and he and I belonged to a family of 10 children at that time, and they lived there and farmed the land.
When's your birthday?
Oh, October 18th,
What year?
1913,
So this means you're 91 years old.
already. Living my 92nd year.
Yay, all right. So that means we all have good genes.
Well, evidently.
Or hopefully we take after your side.
Well, you don't smoke,
Mm-hmm.
so that helps.
Well, so you grew up the daughter of a sharecropper
Of a big family.
in a big family, and they were sharecroppers. He was a sharecropper here when Oklahoma became a state. Did they live here before statehood
Yes,
in Indian Territory?
yes.
Okay.
I have one brother who is named Haskell, Reuben Haskell, because Mama named him for the first governor of Oklahoma.
Wow. He was born in the year
1907.
the year of the statehood.
That's right.
So he was born then. Where were you guys still on the farm there where you were born?
No, he, at that time, I really don't know where they lived then.
Mhm.
But in Ada, I think, at one time Dad owned a hotel in Ada, and I think that's where he lived when Jake was born. I'm not real sure.
Okay, so they owned a hotel in Ada.
By the Frisco Depot.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, Grandma, what would you like future generations to know about you in the future? People that may see this tape that you may never even know. What would you like them to know about Annie Vedas Hopper Roberts, their ancestor?
From the very beginning, I was taught that a 7th girl was special.
Mm-hmm.
I was the 7th girl, and my life has been special.
No, that's good. I believe it.
Real good. And so many things opened up during my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And I had such a wonderful day.
Yeah, well, you've been an inspiration to all of us. So what message would you have for the future generations? What would you like to tell them? What advice would you like to give them, future generations? Maybe something you've learned in your life.
You must think for yourself. You must solve your own problems. You must go back to basics when necessary, and always do the best that you can for whatever problem you're faced with.
That's good. Yeah, I'll turn it off for a second. Okay, we're back.
We're back.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go to this now. What did you do professionally? What was your profession?
Oh, I was a born and bred teacher. My mother wanted me to be a teacher, but she was a wonderful teacher. And so, and in my generation, you were a teacher, a nurse, or a prostitute. So, with my choices, I figured it was the one I was talented for was teacher. Kind of wanted to be a secretary once, but I couldn't spell very well, and I never learned to type like Tim did. So, but I was a teacher all my life.
Great. Well, tell us about the Great Depression. When were you aware that this was a Great Depression or something real serious? What happened?
When the Great Depression hit, we were on a farm and we got to Tulsa World every day out on a route. And the day my dad told us about the men jumping out of the windows in New York City, we couldn't believe it because we were not having a depression. We were living exactly the way we had lived forever. And this news, he told us this news would trickle down to us. And we read those papers religiously because that's all the news we had. And it's true.
There was no television, right?
Oh.
No television.
Ha! There was no television, no radio out where we lived, no electricity. We were in an oil area, but we burned wood.
You burn wood
Yeah.
instead of oil?
We didn't have any gas lines or any of those things.
Wow. And your mother then, she cooked with wood.
Oh, yes. That's another story I got to tell you about someday.
Well, you can tell us.
When we moved on this farm, as soon as we collected our wages from picking cotton, after about 2 weeks, the farm was ready for us to move into.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad went to Holdenville and to Clark Darlin Hardware in Holdenville, and he bought the most beautiful cook stove you have ever seen. Chrome and black and all the things, and hot water tank on the side. And it was a beautiful stove. But my mother was a wonderful cook, and that's where we got all of our meals. We didn't have McDonald's, remember?
So that's how you learned to be such a wonderful cook yourself from your mother.
Well, basically, but
Mhm.
as long as Mama did it, I didn't have to learn it all, but I learned many things from my mother and older sisters.
What was her name?
Molly Bell Adams Hopper.
Okay. And your father's name?
James Garrison Hopper. He
Okay.
came from a family in Pineville, Missouri. They were pioneers from Pineville, Missouri.
I see. So, your mother cooked on that wood stove, and I guess it was pretty hot in Oklahoma, as hot as it gets. I mean,
Oh,
she still
sure.
cooked in front of
Yeah.
a wood stove.
Yeah, but we had a house that was open 4 ways, you know, doors and windows 4 ways.
Oh, so you opened
But
it
it
all
was a
up.
little house,
Mm-hmm.
and so that we lived according to the weather. And when it was so hot, if Mama could get away from the cooking of this whatever she was working on, then we stopped.
Mm.
And then we'd cook. I mean, she'd cook enough for supper and have very little fire at night.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat outside at night. We did not sit inside in the summer. I mean, because
Okay.
it was very, very hot. And those memories are wonderful because Dad was a wonderful storyteller.
Yes, I guess we don't have that today. I mean, families don't tell stories like they used to, and you know, I'm sure that we would actually benefit from that more if we communicated more with one another. I think
We're
families
never
lose
still
that.
enough to tell stories.
What?
We're never still
True.
as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
It comes, we have it fed to us.
And we're so
24
spread
hours.
out as families too, it seems
Oh,
like.
sure. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Seems
well, this was, my family that I'm speaking of now was a teenage family, and we lived together.
Mhm.
5 members of that big family was left at this time. We
You're-
skipped a lot of years in
So-
our conversation, you and I.
Oh, okay. Okay. So some of your brothers and sisters
This,
had
remember,
moved
was
on.
1929 at the Depression,
Mhm.
the day, the Black Thursday of 1929
Black Thursday,
was the Depression,
the day the stock market
the
collapsed.
day the guys jumped out of the windows.
Okay. Let's see, what happened during World War II?
Well, you jumped back on me, Tim. Okay. One of my first memories is World War II, and if you do the addition, I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
The
But
draft.
that's World War I when you were 5. I'm talking about after the
Oh.
Depression. Well, you can
Oh.
tell us about World War I.
Well, it's really important to me.
Okay.
World War One,
Yeah.
and so I'm 5, and
Mhm.
we're in Lawrence, and we had a real nice home at that particular time.
Mm-hmm.
The men had been going to war and taking all of these young men, and the thing that affected my life, the family and my mother and everybody said, the next draft took fathers of children, and I knew that was my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So it scared me to death.
And you were 5?
And I was 5, and I remember climbing into his lap and my back killing me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's where I got this one.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were so scared, but the next news, the armistice was signed, and Dad didn't have to go to the war. So that's really the only thing I remember about World War II.
So you can relate to children whose parents are
Or
overseas
having
and,
to go
and going to war.
Mhm.
Which brings me to, what do you think about the current state of the world?
The current state of the world is something I don't understand. But I listened, and we really need lots of help, guidance for our nation, but I have things closer home that I must spend my time at, and let Tim worry about the politics.
Oh, well, yeah, I'll worry
But the
about
politics are great, and my warning is, be careful about China,
be careful about China.
any form of China.
Yeah, you've said that to me before, and I believe you. So,
If you can find a copy, which you can't, of Red Sorghum, it's a book of the Chinese army and how many people they have to feed the war machine with.
well, here's another question for you. I love this story, and I know you're going to know what I'm talking about when I ask you this question. And this is talking about Cromwell, I believe, or Quesada, and how you developed a love of clothes.
All of that in one question, Tim?
Yeah,
Well,
Well-
let's
we can break it out.
well, let me break it for you. Like,
Okay.
the first 9 years of my life were spent on farms in and around a circle of 8, about 10 miles.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of that time, when I was about 9,
Keep going.
I was about 9 years old. The oil booms hit eastern Oklahoma, especially middle and eastern Oklahoma. So our men came in from the farms, and Dad took us to Ada, and he rented a house and left all the women in Ada.
Mm-hmm.
And the men followed the oil jobs to Cromwell and Earlsboro. Earlsboro was an older oil town. Cromwell came in 25,000 people overnight. So the men went and worked for about a year. Am I taking too much time?
No, just keep going.
About a year, and we lived in Ada.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was where I discovered school and what school is all about. I went to Glenwood School in West Ada, and I discovered an art room, and I was hooked for the rest of my life. Not only for art in general, because I had good teachers, but a paper cutter and paper and so forth. And we had a wonderful time in this school. It was so big, it was had an upstairs, and we slid down a fire escape tunnel, you know.
Yeah, like a pole?
Yeah. No, not a pole,
Oh.
a tunnel, a
A
pipe.
slide.
Yeah, that was fun. Can I have one more minute there?
Oh, yeah.
We sat
This
in the
is-
window of the upstairs room
Mm-hmm.
when I was, I went to school there, 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah.
And our windows were so huge that we could look out over the town,
Mm-hmm.
houses all over.
Yeah.
And we could see the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And we would see hobos
Mhm.
go to the places, and they'd get fed. And don't believe that story is true. They knew where to go, because we'd watch them go to the same houses all the time. So we learned early.
There you go.
After we stayed there 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
Tillman came into Cromwell, and it was supposed to be the most wicked city in the world.
Who's Tillman, a sheriff?
Yes, there's a Tillman over there, and there's a monument
Movie.
to a monument to him in Cromwell,
Mm-hmm.
and he came in from Cushing to straighten up the town, and this was supposed to be 1924 and 5.
Yeah.
I'm still in Ada. Our family's still in Ada.
Uh-huh.
And the minute Tillman came from a farm in Cushing and
Mhm.
came down there, and he was a lawman,
Mm-hmm.
70 years old or so, and he cleared up that town, but they killed him.
Mm.
So when they killed him, the townspeople stood up and took the town.
Oh.
And the minute they did, then they took all the underworld out,
Mm-hmm.
and the families were allowed to move in.
I see.
And that's when Dad came to Ada and brought us to Cromwell,
Mm-hmm.
and he bought one of the little grocery stores, which was a 2-room shotgun house
Mm-hmm.
that we moved into to live.
Mm-hmm.
Right on Main Street.
Mm.
Oh, I loved it, but
Mhm.
Mama didn't. So,
She didn't like it because she was religious, and didn't.
well, that place was awful. There
Mhm.
was no hygiene. There was gas and lights there,
Mm-hmm.
but no law and order except
Mhm.
what the people were trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
And Madam Molly, or whatever her name is, Madam,
Madam Molly or Madam,
Madam,
Murphy? Oh,
Madam anyway.
you knew she was a madam.
Well, everybody did, because she brought the truck down the street
What kind
every
of
day,
truck was it?
a
Was it
flatbed,
flatbed?
great big flatbed truck,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a little wind-up Victrola
Oh my gosh.
on the back,
Mm-hmm.
and girls all the way around the
The
flat
edge.
with the edge, with her legs hanging over. Beautiful, beautiful women. And they would go down the street of Cromwell, turn around, and go back. And my mama would shush us away from the windows, but we always managed to see.
Who's
And,
we?
Oh, Lily and all of the women in the family,
Lily?
even the Lily and even my sister-in-laws. They were just young kids.
You wanted to what? See their clothes or?
Well, we wanted to see the women.
Oh
We
yeah.
wanted to see what was going on.
Mhm.
And of course they were beautiful, and they had gaudy but beautiful clothes.
Mhm.
So we just wanted to see what was going on.
Mhm.
So we'd watch, and Mama would make us get back and behave ourselves. So then I guess we came to no good end, but no bad end. But anyway, that was part of Cromwell I remember. But at the end of that time, which was just right away after Tillman was killed, oh, and we had lived there. I lived there 1 year because I went to school in the 6th grade at Cromwell.
Mhm.
But we didn't have much school. We played dolls and so forth. But at the end, Dad was basically a farmer, and he met and became acquainted with all of the farmers who came into Cromwell. And remember, he had a cafe in Cromwell.
Mhm.
He was a
Businessman?
hotel man, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, he decided we'd move to a farm.
Mhm.
So, at the middle of August, and I believe this is in 1926,
Mhm.
we moved from Cromwell to this farm, which was about 6 miles southeast of Cromwell.
Mhm.
And it was named Quasada for an Indian people. And this district was in the edge of Okfuskee County, district number 52, and when we drove out there, there was a brand new school building getting built. Lumber, beautiful lumber all over that hill, and the men just working like mad to get that building ready for school.
Mhm.
But I learned they didn't start school 1st of September. They were allowed to pick cotton all August, September, part of October if necessary. But this year they got this building ready, and we started school probably October-ish.
Mhm.
But it was a wonderful, but I'll be back about Cromwell. There's a great deal.
Interesting. And
Very.
Just Cromwell?
Well, now I'm out of Cromwell. We're at Quasada.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I want you to also mention, to me, in the year 2000, there was a big scare that the computers were going to crash, and we were all going to, or the economy was going to collapse worse than the Great Depression. And I remember that you told me and my Uncle Butch, if this happened, that we would all, you wanted us all to go back to the farm site in Quasada and start over, that you thought that'd be the safest thing. And I thought, well, you know, you probably have something there, but I want you to explain why you said that.
The reason I said that at that particular time, by that time we had lived in Cromwell all the years, and of course this is a long time later.
Mm-hmm.
But at Quasada, there's a row of sandhill mountains that follow the streams down there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we played on them, and we'll get back to that years ago, lots of time. But when I told you that there are caves, small caves in
Mhm.
those places, you wouldn't have to build a house. You could find one and improvise and move into it as if the nearest thing I can tell you people is like the Postman movie that was so well.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner in the Postman.
movie. Yeah.
How they had to go back to basic. All right. Had this happened to us in 2000, we could have gone down there. There was lots of water, natural water, and there were animals. You need a few animals, and then you'd have to know how to work, and you have to learn to do all the basics, and not only cook, but you have to raise the food, and you have to protect yourself from the enemy by having these places where you can hide. So that's what I thought of that then. Of course, there's many years has passed since I told him that, or several, and it goes so fast, I don't know. And now all I can tell you is think it through, do the best you can with the problem you have.
Okay. Well, another thing I want to bring up is I was amazed the first time you went to the hospital with your shingles, when we brought you there. I didn't realize you had never spent the night in hospital, but you had, and you told the nurse when it was, and it was when you had our Uncle Butch. Yeah, when you had Butch.
But I was 30.
You were 30. And that was the first time, and you hadn't spent a night in the hospital since then, since you had the shingles. Now, I want you to tell us, how did you have Mom, Judy? How did you have Mother? You didn't have her in a hospital, did you? How did that happen?
We were on a seismic crew, and we were in Stillwater. And that was in 1939, and that year in Stillwater, they were building a brand new hospital. I had a wonderful young doctor, and he kept telling me, oh, that hospital's going to be ready for you. Judy was going to be a September baby.
Yeah.
So we had faith that that would happen. Well, it didn't work out that way. They didn't get the hospital built.
Okay.
So I'm faced with going to Cushing, I think, or Chandler or somewhere, 30 miles away.
Yeah.
And my mother had had all of her kids in a house.
Right.
There were no hospitals. And my mother was not here, but I had, this young doctor said he'd get me a nurse, and he and the nurse would deliver my baby. And so that's what we did. And I had, by the way, in Stillwater, had a beautiful little house, like the kids probably rent. And it was on the back of the lot. And so we lived there a month, 6 weeks before Judy was born. So we were all set up. And the doctor and the nurse came, and Van was